Happy Saturday. This is Women Atheist Unload, a show for all intersectional women and those who support us. On today's show, we have some great guests, and we're going to be talking about abortion and the courts. So grab a snack, get comfy, and let's unload.
I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray.
Hey, everyone. So glad that you guys could join us. So we'll just go around and introduce ourselves. Of course, you know I'm Sunny Shell, and I'm one of the hosts on Women Atheist Unload, as well as some other shows. Next to me is Carrie Morgan. Carrie, can you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my brother is Telltale Atheist, and it's because of him that I'm able to have the opportunity to speak in these spaces, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. I'm really looking forward to today's conversation. I live in Texas, so it's a big deal.
I am so sorry. All the condolences in the world to you.
Thank you.
Mary, can you tell, if anyone doesn't know who you are, really, but if you could tell everybody.
I mean, believe it or not, Sunny, there's people that don't know who I am, quite frankly. But hi, my name is Mary. I was born and raised inside of 5 different Amish settlements, and now I work towards activism, preventing abuse, and abortion is a critical component of combating abuse.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. I always enjoy shows with you. They are always so filled with great conversations and great points of view. So I appreciate you coming on. And finally, we have Alma. Alma, could you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Hi, yeah. Well, I'm usually a volunteer in Nuestra Experiencia Tea in the Spanish channel. But I also like to be here just to speak with these important topics, as this is something that affects everybody, because we know that everything that happens in the U.S. Sooner or later is going to be replicated in Latin America. So yeah, we are very nervous about this. But yeah, well, I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. I'm so glad that you are. I'm trying to get my screen to pull the things over that I'm wanting to pull over. Mm-hmm. So we have several really great talking points. Basically, what we're trying to do is have a conversation that is about the drastic effect that that the abortion ban has, or some states don't have abortion bans, but several states have been putting forth massive abortion bans. Texas is one of them. I'm sorry, Carrie. But there has been some major effects, negative effects of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And so, first of all, before we get to all of the different articles that we have, I just would like for each of you to kind of say something as an opening about this topic, because this is such an important one to all of us. Anyone who would like to start?
The government needs to stay out of my uterus. It's none of their business.
Absolutely.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
Also,
it's not a decision women make lightly. Go ahead, Alma. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I apologize. Yeah, they need to stay out of our lives. It's amazing to me that in the U.S. the party that keeps saying, "Oh, personal responsibility and freedom and whatever," is the one who wants to keep budding into the life of people just because they feel like it.
Right. Absolutely. They say they also say they want small government, and nothing can be bigger than a government that is removing bodily autonomy from over half of the population. I think that's quite a big move of a big government. So we have a few things. Alma, I'm going to put yours up really quickly.
Oh.
And would you like to talk a little bit about this one?
Well, you know that even though Mexico has made abortion legal up to a certain point, however, up to the last year, 2020, no, the last 2 years, 2022, before this law came to be, there were still people in prison after a miscarriage. It's not something that she did anything to end the pregnancy, anything like that. She didn't do anything, and yet, because she is a poor person that I think doesn't even speak Spanish, so she was not even able to defend herself, and she just was thrown in jail because somebody said, "Oh, she probably did something because she's so young. She didn't want to have a kid."
So when you start talking about that, abortion in and of itself inherently just means that a fetus was aborted. It's no longer in utero. That's all it is. It is a medical terminology. It is medical terminology that is used. And people, quite frankly, have decided that it is their job and their business to decide whether or not we're worthy of medical care because we happen to have uteruses. Furthermore, part of like what people have done, they have done this because it gives them power. And the way that it gives them power is by controlling other people's lives. It's imposing their values or their supposed values of valuing life. But is it really valuing life when they're sitting there and oppressing and harming other people that are alive? Even though we already know that 30% of pregnancies at least end in miscarriage. Mm-hmm. And those are not due to necessarily somebody doing something to cause the miscarriage.
Right. There's medically induced abortion, which is what they are screaming about. And then there's natural abortion, which is miscarriage or giving birth. I mean,
literally that's literally it. So can we like actually understand what abortion is before we start legislating away rights for people who happen to have uteruses?
Yeah,
or are we just going to sit there and pretend that these people and their doctors, these medical doctors, they have no idea how to manage their medical care?
Right. Go ahead, Carrie. Look like you were about ready to say something.
Just really freaking frustrating to be a second-class citizen in your own country when quite literally the only reason anyone is here is because of uterus owners. I mean, we get to decide if you're going to come out or not. We get to decide. It's our bodies being used for this purpose. And I really don't understand why anyone thinks that they have say over what I do with my body. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, what do you think the biggest reason? You had mentioned that they're wanting to control us, Mary. In what ways do you think that they are wanting to control us? In what aspects?
They want us to be pregnant and barefoot and be contributing to white supremacy. Like, let's be real. Yeah. Let's be real. They need bodies to give birth to more white babies because simultaneously what has happened on the reservations for what has happened with indigenous people where they have forced sterilization of indigenous women or even black women. Mm-hmm. So what they're trying to do here is they're trying to control power over people with uteruses and say you have to be pregnant. And if you get raped, then at that point, well, you have to give birth.
Yeah. Well, it's your fault. What were you wearing?
Oh yeah, let's really go there. It's about power and control, and it has nothing to do about life. Have you ever went and seen what a fetus looks like in various stages of development? Because I have. I went to a lab where I saw fetuses in all stages of development.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, see if I can pull this up. So the biggest thing that I think, if I can get my screen to share, I'm sorry, y'all. Let me just see if I can.
Yeah, just let me know which one do you want me to
actually
show.
Yes, the increasing criminal charges.
Okay, this is
The
the one, I
PBS one?
think. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is what I am really concerned about. Because it's not just that they're taking our rights away. The bigger concern that I have is that now women's lives are at risk, not only in terms of the risk of pregnancy or the risk of carrying a non-viable fetus to term, but even if you experience a miscarriage, that women are seeing, and there's an increased number of women who are charged criminally just for a normal thing that their body would do. And I cannot even comprehend this. Even before Roe v. Wade was passed, this was not a thing. It's like we have not just gone backwards, we've even, doubled down and gone even worse than it was before Roe v. Wade in a lot of states. So let's talk a little bit about this, about what does this mean for young women, for childbearing age women, or those who have uteruses.
It means that when they have a miscarriage, which by medical terminology is correctly labeled as a spontaneous abortion, they are at risk for criminal charges.
Oh, yeah.
Even though there is nothing they can do to prevent that.
Yeah,
and even though they have no way of making sure that they do not accidentally have a miscarriage.
Like with my oldest, I had I had started bleeding. What week was I? Maybe 9 weeks in or so, like that, fairly early on. And on my medical paperwork, it was written threatened abortion. And I was just 21 years old. That was my first introduction to what Mary pointed out earlier, was the actual definition of the word abortion. But growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, in my head, abortion just means you vacuum it out and you've murdered something. And so that's what I went in it with. That's what was in my head when I looked at that paperwork, and it kind of freaked me out for a little bit. But threatened abortion wasn't me saying, "Oh my God, I'm going to go end it." It was a literal. I was having medical problems. It was threatened loss of this pregnancy. It was a threatened abortion. Thankfully, she is still here, and I am appreciative of the doctors that helped and everything like that. But it wouldn't have been anybody's fault if I'd lost it, and I would have been fucking devastated to have been charged. Holy, I don't have words for the moms that go through that. I just, the pregnant parents who experience that, oh my God, my heart goes out to them, and I really, really, things need to change. Things just need to change.
It is terrifying. That's something that you have zero control over. That is a natural phenomenon, a natural thing that happens sometimes when people are pregnant for various reasons.
Yep.
Because it is a fetus. It is a clump of cells that grows into a person eventually. And not even that it does grow into it. It has potential for life.
Yes.
It does not have life. And you have no control over that. You can do everything right and still have a miscarriage. And you can still end up being brought up on charges. And that can affect the rest of your life. It can affect your ability to get a job. It can affect your freedom of movement. People get falsely imprisoned because of this.
Yep. Yep. And what about those of us who go to prison for this and they've got families at home? How does that impact the kids at home already, or their partner? What the hell?
They get separated. Their relationships with their children that are already living get torn apart. This will tear apart families. This will destroy relationships. It will create exponential amounts of trauma to people in general.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And the ones making that rule and those laws don't care. They don't care because it comes back to what, Mary? Control.
Power. And they want white babies.
More white babies.
They want straight white babies.
Then they need to stop having gay kids.
I'm just saying. I'm letting you know. They want straight right.
Yeah.
They don't want these. They don't want the ones
No,
like
they don't want us. No, they don't want my
No.
daughter. They don't want my son. They don't want me. They don't want you. Well, too
Mhm.
bad
Right.
we're here. We're queer. Get used to it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I'm also worried about the psychological effects on these women when you're already devastated from, a miscarriage, and that can
For
bring
real.
on so much with it can instigate clinical depression, suicidal ideations. I mean, all of these things just from that event. And then on top of that, you're now in the news, in the papers. You have
Yep.
police officers coming and arresting you. You
Yep.
have to go to court. I mean, imagine the psychological trauma that is occurring
Yeah.
that may be long standing, that may take many, many years to treat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's no reason for it. There's no reason. There's no benefit. When you think about our judicial system and about people being charged, going before the court, having it adjudicated, and then possibly serving time, there's a purpose. There's
Yeah.
a general reason. Criminality and public safety and so forth. There is absolutely nothing, no benefit, no reason, nothing for this. Yes, Mary.
I just have a thought for you, Sunny. Do you think that they're trying to criminalize women?
Mhm.
Oh, yes, I do. I think that they are very, very scared
That
of
makes sense.
today's women
Yeah.
because we're empowered. We know our own worth. We don't need a man.
No.
They don't know how
Are
to
you-
handle that.
Are you saying that we don't need a man to give us a voice? Rather,
How about
we have
that?
voices and
Isn't
we
that
speak?
radical?
What a radical concept. Oh, boy.
Crazy.
How dare we?
Wow.
That's
We have
crazy.
some audacity, right?
Exactly. But
Man buckets.
exactly. It has not been that long. We've talked about women's suffrage in the 20s and
Mhm.
the women's movement and feminism and all of this, the stuff moving up into the 80s when women were like, no, I'm getting out in the workforce. And so we had these big shoulder pads because we had to be
yeah.
big and tough and our hair up to here. It hasn't been that long since we have had the ability to be strong and empowered and to have our voice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it just scares the hell out of them.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It should.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was talking to the other ladies in the Spanish channel regarding of why men are complaining so much that marriages don't last anymore. And I was like, yeah,
Pull your
because
weight.
we don't have to endure everything like my grandma did.
Yeah.
You know, my grandma had to endure a lot of things to keep that marriage for, I don't know, 30, 40 years, because if she spoke up, she will be beaten up or worse. So
Yep.
yeah.
That was my
Yeah.
mom's situation too.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate.
Yep. It's our society is rooted in misogyny with
Yeah.
religion, with economics, with
Mhm.
political systems, with the medical system.
Yep.
Even with, we're talking about medical care for women, but even aside from the abortion issue, women are often told that we have to get permission from a man for things.
Oh yeah.
Or-
To
Okay.
or
Yeah, to get,
having histrionics and
Mhm.
go ahead.
I'm just gonna go here. I was raised in America, but I wasn't raised in the American society that y'all were raised in. I was raised in a place where we looked around and we looked for permission to speak from the men around us. I was a little too outspoken. I've never been the person who completely fit in. I could never bring myself to really be submissive, no matter how hard I tried. But regardless, when you live in a society where you are trained and conditioned that your voice doesn't matter and you are nothing, at the end of the day, you just want to die sometimes. You do not even want to exist.
Yep.
Yeah.
because there is nowhere for your voice to be valid. And no matter what you bring to the conversation, it's dismissed, it's disregarded, and you're told what you're supposed to do, where to go, what to wear, who you're allowed to talk to. It doesn't just stop at one thing. It continues on. It opens the door for people to continue to take power from people inside of our culture, inside of our communities, and inside of our homes, because what they seek is dominion. They do not seek equality and equity and inclusion. They seek dominion. They do not seek human rights for people. They don't see us as people. They see us as objects to be used for their own benefit and gratification.
Yep.
Right.
Property. Chattel.
Yeah. For property mostly. And this is something that I heard before regarding the women's being criminalized just for something that we cannot control, like a miscarriage. And there is one of the lessons that I got when I was being volunteer in the Red Cross, because I wanted to be an EMT. And one of the teachers told me, that there is no way for a doctor to know if you took something to miscarry or if it's a natural one. There is nothing. There is no test. There is nothing that they can tell. Oh, this woman took a pill and that's why she ended the pregnancy. No, there is nothing. No way to difference. There is no difference between one and the other. So, and so that's the only way that they can just push the criminalization for everybody that has that.
Alma, can you get the Texas Tribune one up?
This one or this one?
It's the
Texas Tribune.
The abortion lawsuit.
The abortion lawsuit. Okay, I got it here.
All right, great. All right. So, along with these lines that we've been talking about, we've talked about how women, recently, in the scheme of things, the last few decades, have found our voice and they're afraid. Well, we're not going quietly into the kitchen again. And so we are now seeing lawsuits across the country, but especially, Texas is kind of highlighted. Texas is always kind of highlighted. They do all kinds of crazy things.
Texas and Florida both. God.
Exactly. But Texas is very influential in a lot of ways. Just for instance, most textbooks come from Texas. And, so they have a big influence on the rest of the country. And so it's very interesting to see these women join these lawsuits because, it's become an increasingly dire situation. They say that what the law states in Texas is that basically you have to get the court's approval to have an abortion. They have to make sure that there's a valid reason for the abortion, like the health of the mother or, a verifiable rape or whatever. But even when the court does say that they can have it, we are seeing there's a case where a doctor is the attorney general is going after the doctor that performed the abortion, even though the court said that he could perform that. So there is zero protection for any reason. And we have to continue to do this. We have to band together, not just women and those with uteruses, but men too, all of us. We all need to come together and we need to fight this.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mary.
And another part of this is like people really think that it is acceptable to put the life of the mother or the pregnant body on the line because our lives are disposable.
Yes.
Our lives don't have value if we're not being their forced incubators.
Yes. When I was pregnant with my first, my ex-husband and we actually had the discussion because of the whole threatened abortion thing and we might lose her. we had to have the discussion, what happens if it came down to me or the baby? And he chose the baby. I don't blame him for it. I don't hold it against him in any way, because I understand that that's what we were raised to believe as Jehovah's Witnesses. You had to make a choice. It was one or the other. And like, what the fuck is a baby going to do without a mom?
Right.
What are you going to do with a baby and no way to, you got to go to work. You know what I mean?
Not to mention the effects on the spouse. You know, he's having to choose.
What a decision to make. Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck kind of...
Yeah, it doesn't make it there. The harm is so great. It's like ripples.
Yes.
It just ripples out to so many areas.
It's not singular. It's not just, I don't like that this lady was pregnant or this person was pregnant and now they're not. I don't like that. And now I want to make them pay for it. I want to punish them for it. No, it's none of your business. It's literally none of your freaking business. Shut up and sit down and stay in your lane.
Absolutely.
My goddamn uterus.
Yes.
Furthermore, I just want to tell, I don't know if Sunny or Alma or any of you know this. I made about a 3-minute long video on TikTok when Roe v. Wade was overturned. Because I myself, as many of you know, experienced child SA.
You're not alone, and I'm sorry.
And over, people, and I don't want people to feel, don't feel sorry for me. It's fine. I'm fine. Okay. But over and over, people have asked me, well, if you were SA that many times or you experienced rape that many times, then, how did you not become pregnant? And I'll tell you how. When I started getting my periods, my biological mother, started brewing the tea, and she taught me to brew this tea. And as an adult, I went and looked it up, and that tea is an abortifacient.
Yeah.
And when I shared that, the amount of people that told me about their own experience with that tea within Amish communities and within Anabaptist communities, and how abortion is used to cover up sexual abuse is horrific. So it's okay to go get an abortion when you're covering up sexual abuse of children. But it's not okay to use an abortion to save the life of the mother when the fetus has potential for life. And sometimes, in many cases, I know Amish women who carried a fetus that had died in utero for over a month.
They're lucky. Can be septic because of that.
Yeah. Friggin' hell.
But if they had, it would have been chalked up to it's God's will.
Oh, yeah.
So Alma, I know you wanted to highlight this one part really quickly. You want to go ahead and...
Oh, yeah, I highlighted because it caught my attention that one of the person that is behind the lawsuit is this couple, the Manzano couple. And they're saying they are both about Christians. And they decided the most loving thing they could do for their son was terminate the pregnancy. And the last part, both considered themselves anti-abortion before this. Why? There is always that something has to happen personally to them in order for them to, maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
Right.
Maybe.
It's frustrating.
Maybe they had to challenge their perspective on what abortion actually is.
Right.
And the humanity of people who have abortions. Because part of the reason that they call people who have abortions murderers is because it dehumanizes them. And then you can dismiss what people who've had abortions say about it.
Yep.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep.
So I'll share that when I was a young person, I had an abortion. It was a difficult thing to go through, but not because of it being an abortion. Not I knew that the decision was the right one to make. I didn't realize at that point just how important it was to my health and safety, but I knew that I could not have that child. My mother was very supportive, but she didn't know for many years. And she was like, why didn't you tell me? I could have helped you. But I could not. There was so much stigma, especially living in the South. I had to travel 2 hours away. I had to go through a picket line of Christians with, these horrible pictures and screaming at you and yelling.
Yep.
Murder!
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, quite literally. Yes.
Those were the things that were horrible. And then I had to go back after a month, not there, but I was told to go to my regular doctor for just a checkup, make sure that everything is okay.
Yeah.
And I will never forget. I did not go to my regular gynecologist because I was afraid of her knowing anything about just the fear of that. So I went to another town to a different gynecologist, and it ended up being a man. And the look of disgust, I will never forget. Those are the things that were difficult about my pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that other people had a judgment and felt like they could share that opinion.
Exactly. Right. Like I was no longer a person. Yeah. I was something for them to demean. Yep. And there was no care, concern, or thought to why I was making the decision or what impact it was having on me, both having the abortion and having the backlash from it.
Yep.
I lost my best friend because she was like, I can't, be a part of this. I can't support you when you make these types of decisions. So it impacts. And I
lost a friend like that too because of that.
Yeah. And I was almost 17 or just at 17 at the time. That was devastating.
Yeah.
See, but here's the thing. What does society do to 16-year-olds that have babies?
Oh, they ostracize them. They judge that too. How could you slut?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
What were you wearing? Well, were you drinking? Were you it's because you were hanging out with the wrong crowd. Birds of a feather always flock together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
You should pay for it. Now you have to have the baby. You should have the baby because you fucked up.
You should be responsible for it.
Yep.
Right. We don't want to help you.
I was an adult in my 30s when remarried. In fact, well, I'm remarried now, but at the time we were just dating. But, I found myself pregnant again, and I get a condition called hyperemesis gravidarum when I'm pregnant, and with each of my pregnancies, it got worse and worse and worse. And with the last one, I was vomiting and peeing my own self before I got out of bed in the morning, and that's the meds that I had prescribed, the Zofran and stuff. None of that was, it wasn't working anymore. And my husband was just like, are you sure? Like, do you want to change anything about this? And I was like, yeah, I can't live like this. I can't live like this because I'm literally dying. I'm malnourished. I am not okay. And I've got 3 other children who need their fucking mom. I can't keep going. And so he handled it. We took care of it. While I'm in there, he had gone out to the car because he vapes. So he went out to the car, and some lady out there approached him and asked if they could help. He said, I swear to God, he goes, no, she's just a rental. And then somebody else later on approached him again, and he goes, well, do you have a microwave? I was like, oh my God, oh babe, oh.
If he would have asked for a clothes hanger, I think I would expire right now.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
It was something. But
okay.
It's one of those things I can't tell my mom because, she's still a Jehovah's Witness and she would be disappointed. I also believe, though, that she would understand. Because I do know that every now and then she'll say something that I just know her own brain is telling her that this response that she's been fed forever is kind of BS. Her personal response is more more real. I feel like that she would be understanding, but her JW response would kick in first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
By the way,
Same
any of
doctrine.
our viewers would like to ask questions of any of us, just put it in the chat. We would love to take your questions.
Heck yeah.
We would love to have more discussions from our wonderful viewers because they're pretty awesome, and the chat's been great today. So thank you guys so much for coming on and having such great discussions. We talked about how these things kind of reverberate out. It's like a ripple effect and how they impact. Um, do you guys have any examples of that type of reverberation and that type of rippling out, either in your own lives or the lives of others? Not that you don't have to share anything you don't want to, but is there any examples that you guys want to share?
Well, when I was around 17, I had an experience with the tea that Mary just mentioned, because I did something stupid, and I was a teen, and I ended up in trouble. So I went up and to a friend, and she knew about the tea, and I did it. I just
It's
and
useful to have that information,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
unfortunate that any of us have to do it in secrecy.
yeah. Because if I had done it, or anybody had found out about it, I would be in jail now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that
Well,
time was not legal, and
Right.
yeah.
well,
One
see,
thing
and
you just, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mary.
the thing is I think far too often, like, people forget that all of that has an effect on you.
Mm-hmm.
It has an effect on your body. It has an effect on you physically, mentally, psychosomatically. Like, there can be things that come up. And furthermore, when you talk openly about having had an abortion in light of, like, Roe v. Wade being overturned, it's almost like Roe v. Wade being overturned gave people permission and consent to further dehumanize us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And then what happens is people see that. People who've also had abortions, or people who've experienced certain things, that they resonate with what we talk about, like what Alma was saying, or Sunny, or Carrie, like all of you. People see that and they sit there and they suffer in silence, which can lead to and exacerbate symptoms of depression that may be very common. People suffer from postpartum depression, whether or not that abortion or that baby was born live birth. It doesn't matter. People can suffer from postpartum depression. And when that happens, it alienates and isolates people from talking to each other. And these responses have a large role that they play in how much they silence people, and then they disconnect people from other people who could perhaps give them a sense of connection and belonging, and the idea that maybe they're not quite so alone.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. Very well stated. Very well stated. I want to really quickly, though, go back to Alma, because you don't have to explain that, like you made some big mistake and you were a teenager and all of that. You were a human being. That's what you were. You were a human being. And
Yeah.
it's you didn't make some terrible mistake. You were living your life. And I think that's what people need to understand. I could feel kind of this. We don't have to explain ourselves. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you were
Yeah.
talking, like, oh, I just wanted to reach out and give you a hug and say it's okay. You don't have to
Thank
say
you.
those things, because
Yeah.
first of all, we understand. The second, you should never have to say that.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I
what
just
I what I meant is just the mistake I made was the relationship itself, because it was a horrible relationship. But that's what I meant by that. I
Okay.
don't regret to have the abortion, because it gave me the chance to, live my life as I wanted. And later on, I was able to just, go to another country and learn other things. And I think just doing that, it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. there was a lot of things that the Jehovah's Witness don't show to the people in other countries, because in other countries they can pretend they're all good. They can pretend they're like, oh, we're just here to help you poor people. And once that you are in the US and you start to see exactly who they are,
Mhm.
and you start to look at them in a different way, you open your eyes and it's like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You
I want
know,
to go ahead.
Alma
Mhm.
and Sunny, like, thank you for going back to
Thank
that.
you so much.
I had this thought, like, even if you entered into a relationship with somebody that was perhaps a horrible relationship, you did not consent for that to be the case. You did not consent for
Yes.
that. It is not your fault.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you don't have to explain that.
Yes. Absolutely.
Very well
I
said.
said it.
No one goes into a relationship thinking, "Hey, I hope this is a really crappy ass one." That doesn't happen. We
I do that all
go in.
Yeah, sure.
But that would be a mistake. You know,
Mhm.
willfully going into a bad relationship that would be a mistake. You think when you're going into a relationship that it's going to be great, that's going to be wonderful, that this person loves me and everything is going to be. So even that wasn't a mistake. Having sex is not a mistake. None of that are mistakes. It's life. It's just life. And the only person who should be ashamed is the other person in that relationship that created that negative, that bad part, whatever that was. They are the ones who should be ashamed and who should, be explaining.
To you, and not even just explaining to you, but they should be taking accountability for their actions and working towards prevention of those actions in the future.
Wild idea.
It's called accountability, you know. If this
Yeah.
is me waging war against religion, I guess that's what I'm doing. I get accused of it enough. But I also want to point out, furthermore, Alma, like
Mhm.
from the framework, you grew up Jehovah's Witness.
Yes.
I'm gonna take a wild stab in the dark and guess that you didn't necessarily have the tools or the ability to recognize red flags. So why would you not
Oh
enter
no.
into a relationship with somebody that the church has taught you is somebody that is a good boy or a good church member or a good whatever,
Mhm.
whatever? And on the flip side, if it was somebody that was not in the church, it's literally you going out to explore and experience, but you still don't have the framework to recognize what is a healthy relationship.
Bingo.
Yes, exactly.
Nailed
That's
it.
exactly. Yeah, you nailed it, Mary. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Spot
to
on.
unpack and unlearn once we leave that cult mindset, to figure out how to move forward in healthy relationships in a healthy way. And
Yeah,
I don't know about
because
Alma, but I'm like, even now I'm on my second marriage, and my husband, I mean, we're besties, but there's still shit. We're like, I don't know what I'm doing, you know?
I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I'm on my second divorce.
Yeah, you know,
Good times.
too many red flags. It's okay. You figured it out.
Sometimes people grow apart. It's okay.
It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
okay.
fact of it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, life is too short to spend it with the wrong person. And the wrong person can be for any, you just fall out of love. It could be as simple as that. So I want to share something that Fern had stated earlier. I feel like my entire young adult life was blaring horns telling me two things. Girls are sexual tools and are to be shamed for accepting the role. Then boys are praised for getting a girl to be sexual. My goodness. That see,
Double standard.
Yeah.
it's so that was just so perfect. I had to share that. Thank you, Fern.
Well said, Fern. Yes.
Because that is
Very
right.
well said.
We are made to be sexual objects, but if we accept that role, then we are nothing but sluts and we are shamed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then guys are made to feel that is their thing to do, you know. Push and push and push until she finally gives in.
It's not even just that, but this is a sign of their masculinity.
Right.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
This is how they define their masculinity, is by like, oh, how many girls do I got chasing after me?
Right.
Or how
Exactly.
many girls can I, you know, make think that I love them and I
Right.
don't care. I just want to have fun with them. Just tell them whatever they want to hear.
Yep.
So I also want to say that so our topic is abortion in the courts,
Mhm.
but you can't not talk about all of these other things because they are a part of it. They are all a part of this discussion. And the fact that we even are saying abortion in courts in the same sentence is just beyond me. The article that we shared earlier that Alma had highlighted, earlier in that article, it had also stated that when that happened to that couple, they went to their pastor. They went and they talked with
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah.
And the pastor, said to them, "Hey, if something like if your doctor is a godly person, then that's who you need to follow their advice." So they had even done what these uber conservatives are saying you're supposed to do, is go to your pastor.
Yeah.
But that's because that's not really what they want. They really just, no matter what the reason, they want to, to continue to harm women.
Yep.
By control. Exactly. Okay.
Or babies.
Yeah, and like it says in the article, if you can see in the top, it says, "I was grieving, processing all of this, also feeling like a criminal."
Yeah.
For needing health care.
Freaking healthcare. My God. It saved my life. It saved my life, and my children have a mom. Like, fuck off.
Right. Exactly. I think for me, I can't have any more kids. You were talking about what happened with your pregnancies and how difficult they were.
Yeah.
I had a miscarriage, and then I had kids, and my last one was a doozy of one. It was really difficult, but I ended up having my uterus was separating on the inside. It was like,
Girl.
and so I had to have a hysterectomy.
Oh.
But let me tell you what's really bad is that because of the way that women are looked at, the provider, first of all, had me go through other things because he was just so concerned about me not being able to have more kids, because he just felt like, I would regret it one day. Well, I had the kids that I was going to have. I was done.
Great and good.
I would rather not hemorrhage.
Yeah,
You know?
that happened to me in 2020. I hemorrhaged from a miscarriage, and they had to do an emergency D&E and blah blah blah. Like, I almost died. I'm not risking that anymore. What the fuck?
What a novel concept of like not wanting to hemorrhage to death.
It's
like,
weird.
I was like, what a novel concept.
Crazy.
Like, this is
Yeah.
mind-boggling.
Well, here's what's really funny. After he went through all of the things that he
Yeah.
had me do, an ablation, and you guys know what I'm talking about, all those things.
Yep.
And then he's like, "Oh no, this is the thing. We're going to have to do this, or you won't survive." So then he submits it to the insurance company. The insurance company had me go through a whole other surgery to prove that it was what the doctor said it was. And that doctor got upset because they were questioning him. And I said, "The way you're feeling now is how I felt when you were questioning me."
Oh, what did he say? How did he respond to that?
He did not. He just looked at me.
That's powerful.
And then he went on.
What I wouldn't give to have seen his face.
Yeah, I hope that made him think.
I hope it did too.
Like, wow, that's that guy.
Exactly. Now I worry about my own daughter.
Yeah.
She's just getting into that point in her life.
Yep.
And I've told her, I will do whatever I have to. We're not wealthy. I will do what I have to. If she needs something, we will go anywhere to get her what she needs.
Figure out. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, just for the record, I live in Colorado.
Hey, we love you.
I live in Colorado.
So we're going to go camping, right?
We can go camping.
Got you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We like you.
All right, so let's take a look.
Like
There we go. Center for Reproductive Rights. You can go onto their website and you can find out if where you live is protected or not. For my state, they're hostile. It's hostile for reproductive rights.
Yeah, it's really hot.
Oh, how convenient. Okay, I'm in Texas, so that's illegal all over the place. But my home state of Connecticut, weird. Suddenly got to go visit mom.
Yeah.
You just
You know, I remember when I was around 13 or 14, whenever we knew like one of the rich girls in our area will get you know, they say, oh, she got in trouble, but she's going to Disneyland.
I mean, you know, like, here's the thing, though. You know who it's going to affect the most? Disproportionately. Who is it going to affect the most? Because I guarantee you, wealthy women will still have access to abortions, whether they're outlawed or not.
Yep.
That's exactly
But
right.
you know who will not?
People of color.
People of
Black,
color.
indigenous, people of color, women.
Yep. LGBTQIA plus.
Yep. And I ding a whole lot of those boxes.
Those are the people who are going to suffer disproportionately. They're going to face the most violence. And I'm not just talking about violence in the sense of, like, you know, being made into a criminal. I'm talking about, like, there are people that literally will commit acts of violence towards people.
Yeah.
There are people who will try to kill us simply because we exist. There are people already trying to do that. Yep. This is just giving them more fuel for the Father.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if they have to travel, go ahead.
I'm sorry. It is like the people in the other article said, like they were pro-life until they have to make a choice. So it is only like, oh well, now they support everything because they think that it's never going to happen to them.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
What about your children and your grandchildren? What about your future generations? What are you telling them about how much you care about humans and human rights and medical care? What are you telling them?
All of that. Yeah.
Yep. It's so hard for me to wrap my head around all of this. It really is. It's hard for me to understand how people can be so downright
cruel.
Absolutely ridiculous. And yes, cruel. That's a much better word for it.
Great word for that.
Dehumanizing. The cruelty is dehumanizing people. But have you ever heard the argument that some people use abortion for birth control? Have you ever heard that argument?
Oh yeah,
yes.
I heard it a lot of times.
Yeah.
Many times. So fucking what? What do you care? It ain't your uterus. It ain't your bills. It ain't your housing. It's not your food. Why do you fucking care? Mind your business. Get out of somebody else's freaking bedroom. I don't know why that's so damn hard for people.
So we do have a question. When and where can we approach? Sorry, my brain was not putting those things together.
The sarcasm in me wants to say, in front of your local Planned Parenthood against the assholes. But like for real, where can we? I mean, that we have to take that like to the Capitol.
Right. Well, your state legislatures.
Yes. Start with your local government and then go up to your state. Just keep on building. Keep building.
Yeah.
And yes, Fern at the voting box November. Yes.
Definitely what Carrie was saying, starting at the state level. And also, like, for fuck's sake, like, your vote matters.
Yep. As a Jehovah's Witness, I was always told that obviously not to vote, neutrality and all that crap. Your vote doesn't count was a very, very common statement growing up. And since I've been out for the last 11-ish years or so, 12, 13, God, I don't know, I've lost track, over a decade. I've had the opportunity to vote, and unlearning that my vote doesn't count has been quite the experience. I do it anyway. I research the candidates locally, state, all the way up the chain. You know what I mean? Because yes, it does freaking count. It does
count, and it matters.
Please.
And I will tell you that I haven't missed an election in the last,
hell yeah,
since 2004. I haven't missed an election. I'm done.
That's what's up, my friend.
I vote. And you know what? Like, here's the thing, though. You may feel like your vote doesn't count, but your vote actually does matter.
Yeah.
They are scared of us. They are scared of us voting people
Which is why
out of
they
positions
say
of
your vote
power.
doesn't count. Yep.
This is a scare tactic to get people to not vote.
Yeah.
I need you to get out and vote.
I've
Vote
heard
like the
rumors-
lives of your daughters, your mothers, your sisters, your wives, your brothers. Everybody's lives depend on it.
Yep. I've
Because
heard
they
rumor
might.
that Gen Z is talking about not voting, and I can't beg them enough to please try.
Yeah,
Please.
you won't have another opportunity. I mean, really, if things go south, which we're in process of
looking at
becoming a 501c3, so I can't be specific on that. But what I will
Right.
say is, right now we have a choice between continuing our experiment of democracy or ending that experiment, and I would like to continue it. So think about that. We do have a question. Carrie Ann Chrysler asked, what kind of laws do you all think should be enforced on abortion? My answer is none.
None. Enforce a woman's
There
choice.
shouldn't be
Enforce-
laws.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mary. Go ahead.
There shouldn't be laws legislating my right to medical care because I am a fucking human being who deserves medical care.
Bingo.
Yep.
Bingo.
Right.
Mhm.
Bingo.
I really like that one example of when the violinist, the famous violinist.
Oh yeah.
If you wake up and you were drugged or whatever, you wake up and you are attached by an IV to a machine to a famous violinist, because if they're going to die and they need you to give them help them with that that blood, and would you have a right to just remove yourself from that machine? Of course you would, because no one should be able to use your body without your permission. It's a no-brainer, unless you're a woman or a person with a uterus, and we're talking about a ball of cells.
Mhm.
That's the difference. So, we should not have any laws. Bodily autonomy should be protected at all cost. But thank you for the question.
Yeah.
We have another question from Toto now. What helps an apathetic public vote as they should? What is most effective? That's a great question.
When they have personal
skeleton.
experience that motivates them to become invested in the outcome of the vote.
Right.
I would agree with that.
Mhm.
I would agree with that.
I think in that, if there's not a personal experience that they have, then trying to giving a message that can meet them in that same place, in their heart, like that, maybe, if they can see themselves or their kids or their mom, or, if they can see themselves in a message, then sometimes that can be effective. Not always, but sometimes that can be effective as well.
Yeah.
And Rob, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, Robin is saying that they think that it is a bad example to use the violinist because people say the violinist didn't choose to be there, but a woman having sex was a decision. And I'm just saying, giving consent to sex does not give consent to pregnancy. There's a difference.
Yes.
Let's be clear here.
Yes. I can say yes all day long to sex. It doesn't mean I want to have a baby.
That's exactly right. Very, very important thing to say. I want to go back to another one of Robin's. She says 93% of abortions are first trimester. This is a very important thing to note because that other percentage that are not first trimester are serious.
Yeah.
They're very serious. It's because of unviable fetuses or the health and safety of the mother, something, one of those type things where that is not what they're wanting. The mother's not wanting this, the father's not wanting this, but they have no choice. It's they need to.
Yeah.
So those are the only times they think that, you find out you're having a boy and you really wanted a girl, so you're just going to have an abortion. That's such bull crap. It's just crap.
Yeah. Nobody's doing that.
Nobody's doing that.
And even if they were doing that, do you think that that person will be fit to be a parent?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean,
like if somebody was doing that using using an abortion just because, I didn't like this one, so.
And let's be real. Like often
even if
religious groups will sit there and they will say, but this is God's will. And so they will sit there and they will allow a mother to die because of that firmly held belief that having an abortion is against my religious beliefs. And when they do that, children are left motherless. And then the family struggles in a whole other way. And not just the family, it has community impacts too, because often those families of widows and widowers then need community intervention in order to be able to help care for the children that are already there. So imagine having 8 children and then having a baby that is already or having a stillbirth and dying along with the child because of the fact that you should have had an abortion, but it was against my religious beliefs. And so both lives, like both the potential life and the life of the mother was lost. So what do you think?
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Right along those lines, I work with abused children. That's what my job is.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's very rewarding. But I would love to have people who don't really want to be parents just have an abortion. Just don't. If you do not want to parent,
yeah.
Just, you can't say don't have sex. You can't say have safe sex. There's no foolproof form of birth control. And we are human beings. We are sexual beings. You're not going to stop that. Instead, we need to be able to give women or people with uteruses a choice to be able to figure out what is right for them.
Yes.
Because otherwise, you have people who are severely abused because they weren't wanted to begin with. And you can always put them up for adoption. In my field, we also work very closely with social services. And I can't tell you, we have such a hard time, and I'm not with social services, but they have such a hard time just finding placements. They have also found that with adoption, most want that little baby, that cute little baby. They get to a certain
wants
age.
to adopt that 16-year-old autistic kid.
Oh yeah, or any kid who has any type of different abilities. I mean,
Not only that, but separation from your family of origin is always trauma. And so every single child that is adopted has already experienced trauma. Let's be real about it. It is traumatic.
Yep.
And it isn't just traumatic for the child. It's also potentially traumatic for the parent who separates from the child.
Make that decision.
Sometimes, people really just need to have better options, and they need to have bodily autonomy and resources so that they can make the best decision for themselves based on the situation that they are in and what type of access to resources and support they have.
Yep.
So if you're really fucking caring about life, maybe, just maybe, you should go out and volunteer to help people who are less fortunate than yourself.
Right. Absolutely.
Without expecting them to join your church in return.
Yes.
Yep.
That's that
Absolutely.
too.
Absolutely. All right. We have gone a little bit over the hour. So I would like, before we wrap up, if each of you can kind of give your closing statement about this topic, because this is a big one, and I hope we have more conversations like this. So, Carrie, we'll start with you. You're muted, though.
Yeah, sorry. My husband came in and he started taking a nap and he snores. So, I didn't want that to be heard. But regarding the abortion topic, maybe that's why we do it. We don't want babies to snore. No, I'm kidding. Realistically, like Mary's been saying this whole show, it's healthcare. It is literally healthcare. And if you don't have a uterus, I've said this before, if you don't have a uterus, then you don't have a say, but that's not entirely true. Many of my friends are trans women. One of my own children is trans woman. And while they don't necessarily have uteruses, they are very much women, and they absolutely have a say because they are welcome in my spaces.
Very good. Very good. And to piggyback on that, we need allies. So I don't mind when men are giving us their support. If they don't like it, they need to shut the hell up.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Mary, your final comments?
Well, I'm just here to say, if you've had an abortion, you're not a bad person. You did what you needed to do to get through the things you were experiencing.
Yeah.
And hopefully,
thank you for that.
Thank you so much for that.
People understand better that pregnancy always has a risk to the life of the person that is carrying a fetus. Furthermore, I believe that everybody deserves a right to bodily autonomy, and part of that includes the right to access to medical care. We can obtain that if we work together collectively, and we all have to get out there and vote. And like I said before, vote like your lives depend on it, because they do. Our lives depend on it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mary. One of the reasons I love having you on is because you are so good at what you talk about. Your comments and your views. So
I wanted to give Mary a standing ovation so many times today.
Oh my. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting here feeling like I'm just being my little extra queer self over here.
Yeah.
I'm just here. I've been told, like, when I get on camera, sometimes I scare people. So
no.
No.
Yeah, no, you literally brought me to tears. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mary. Alma, your final comments?
Thank you. Well, like you already kind of remind me that we are just humans. We need to have control over our bodies. It's not possible that a cadaver has more rights than a living person. If you are not organ donor, they cannot take it. They cannot use it. And a woman is like, no, sorry, just because you have uterus, you have to suffer, and I don't care.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very important that if you have the capacity of doing it, please just research who are you voting for.
Yes.
That's right. Absolutely. So I want to, first of all, thank everyone who took your time out on your Saturday to watch us talk about this important topic. I especially want to thank our patrons. We have Erica Ozols, Rion, Deneen Murphy, Dan D, Michael Wiseman, Kathy Cotton, Cindy Plaza, me, Aaron Coalson, Phil Calderone, Amanda McLeod, and Logan Fisher. Logan's our newest one. Thank you so much for joining us. Yay! If you would like to support us in that same way, please go on to our Patreon page. We are in the process of trying to become a 501c3, so we can use all the help we can get because it's not cheap to do that. If you would like to support us in other ways, not monetarily, all you got to do is subscribe, hit the bell, like, share, all those cool things that you always hear us talk about on YouTube. But also, don't forget, we have a whole bunch of other shows. We have Thursdays with the Sunny Spot. That's me. Saturdays with the Global Atheist, and you'll see Alma on that sometimes. Women Atheists Unload, of course. And then on Sunday, our newest show, Let's Talk. So you can call in and banter with us a little bit. We have something for everyone. So please, like we all said, think about who you're voting for and make sure that you vote in November, like your life depends on it. And just know that we love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, think critically. Bye-bye.
I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, 'cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the